Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Sunday afternoon meeting of the Senate Committee on Legislative Operations and Elections. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senator Daley? Here. Senator Canizaro? Senator Krasner? Here. Senator Steinbeck? Here. Chair Orenshaw?
Present. Secretary, please mark the majority leader present when she arrives or absent excused if she's not able to join us. We do have a quorum. A few housekeeping measures. I'd like to remind everyone to silence their electronic devices. If someone wishes to testify, we ask that you sign in at the table by the door. If you have a business card, we'd ask you to give that to the committee secretary. For those who are joining us online, please be sure to mute your microphone when you're not speaking to minimize any background noise. To provide public comment or testimony on a bill telephonically, there's a new phone number that we have here at the Nevada Legislature. It's recently changed in the last couple of weeks. That new number to call is area code 669-900-6833. Again, that's 669-900-6833. The voice prompt will ask you to provide a meeting ID. The meeting ID for our meeting today is 874-0858-7004. Again, that meeting ID is 874-0858-7004. After you enter the meeting ID, please press the pound key. When testifying, please turn on the microphone and clearly state your name. If you're affiliated with a group, an organization, we hope you say that too. For the record, then turn the microphone off each time you're done speaking. Handouts, we ask if you're going to be giving paper handouts, you bring 20 copies for members of the public. Electronic copies should have been submitted in PDF form to our committee manager in advance of the hearing. We do expect courtesy and respect in our interactions during the meeting, even if we don't agree with someone else's position on an issue. Committee members will be using their laptops to view handouts and other documents. Please do not view this as a sign of disrespect or inattention. As a reminder, we may take agenda items out of order. Public comment will be taken at the end of the meeting. Each person wishing to make public comment will be limited to 2 minutes per speaker. With that, I see we do have our bill hearing, Assembly Bill 534, and I see we have Chief Deputy Secretary of State Gabriel de Guerra and Deputy Secretary of State Mark Balashin. Thank you for joining us today on such short notice. I'd like to open the hearing on Assembly Bill 534.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. On behalf of Nevada Secretary of State Francisco Aguilar, I am Chief Deputy Gabriel de Guerra, joined today by Deputy for Elections Mark Balashin. We are here today to present Assembly Bill 534, which proposes changes to a number of different sections of NRS 293 to make our elections more transparent and secure. Today I will focus on a few key amendments made over the last few days. First, Secretary Aguilar has proposed that election officials in our largest counties must start processing mail ballots within 24 hours of receiving them. We have a duty and obligation to our voters to ensure that ballots are processed and ready to be tabulated in a timely manner, speeding up election results. Secretary Aguilar is committed to working with the counties to ensure that they have the resources and support they need to meet the statutory requirement. We have included a waiver that counties can request if they are unable to process mail ballots within that 24-hour period, and we will work with the counties on the regulatory process that will define those waivers. There are a number of other amendments that have been added to the bill related to timelines regarding verification of petitions and initiatives. These amendments have been proposed to make the timelines for verifying petitions more feasible for counties and to standardize timelines for candidates. We have also amended in a provision from another bill creating a voter access program in the Secretary of State's office, which will allow us to receive gifts, grants, and donations. This money will be in turn granted to county, local, and tribal governments to assist with costs related to election administration, including voter education and additional pay for staff. Again, Secretary Aguilar's goal with this bill is to increase data reporting to make our elections more transparent for voters and the public, and streamline election processes to make local election offices more efficient and able to process ballots. We look forward to any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Members, any questions for our Chief Deputy Secretary of State and our Deputy Secretary of State for Elections? No. Vice Chair Daley.
I haven't got all my thoughts together.
I have one question if you want to take a minute. As to the changes to the initiative petition process, could you go into a little more detail as to how Assembly Bill 534 will change that for, let's say, someone who's trying to get an initiative petition on the ballot? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question, Chair Orenshaw. Gabriel de Guerra for the record. So what we amended into the bill does not change the timeline for initiative petitions to be turned in. However, if those petitions are turned in within, I believe we put a 2 weeks within the start of early vote, the counties have the authority to hold on starting the signature verification process until later on in the deadline. So in that period, it's near where petitions are due, but the counties are also very busy getting the early voting sites stood up. Their staffs are all over the place. And we also understand that petitioners don't want to wait. As soon as they have their signatures, they want to get them in. They want that legal clock to be started. This buffer period just gives the clerks and registrars time to start that process later on, further back towards, for example, after the canvass, or towards the canvass, after the canvass? After the canvass.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. That's such an important consideration for the clerks. I guess one question I have is, with this change, do you think it could would it lead to any signatures not being, gone through enough in time that a question might not qualify, or do you think it won't have any effect there?
Gabriel DeCara, for the record. Thank you for the question, Chair. It does not change the timeline. Once signature verification begins, then the clock has started there. Basically, what this says is, if a petition comes in while you are conducting an election, you can wait until that last day, that would currently be the last day under existing statute, where you could start the verification process. You can hold on to those petitions until later on. So it should not change, it does not change the amount of time that the clerks have to review. All it does is let them wait a little bit longer before they start that clock.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think I'm good for now. Vice Chair Daley?
I think I'm
Good.
I'll
Okay.
follow up if I have some questions.
Okay, I might as well too. Thank you very much. I appreciate the presentation. There are no further questions, members, unless I'm missing anybody. Don't see any. We'd like to now open it up to support for Assembly Bill 534. I'll start here in Carson City. Anybody who'd like to speak in support, then I'll go down to Las Vegas and we'll go to the phone lines.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshall and committee members. For the record, my name is Emily Prasad Zamora, and that's spelled PERSAUD-ZAMORA. I'm the Executive Director of Silver State Voices, and today we're in support of AB 534. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your testimony.
Good afternoon, Carrie Durmick, that's KERRYDURMICK, and I'm with All Votings Local Action Nevada, and we are also in strong support of this bill. Thank you.
Very much. Good afternoon. Thanks for your testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee, Isaac Tenorio, IZACK, TENORIO. Here representing Campy Legal Center, just testifying in support. Thank you so much.
Very much, Dr. Tenorio. Not seeing anyone else come forward in Carson City for support. I don't see anyone in the hearing room in Las Vegas. Broadcasting, can we go to the phone lines in support of Assembly Bill 534?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to testify in support of AB 534, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Again, if you would like to testify in support of AB 534, please press *9 now. Chair, you have no callers in support at this time.
Okay, thank you, Broadcasting. And I know hearing was on short notice, so if anybody didn't get to log in, if you want to submit written testimony, we will make that part of the record. I'd like to now go to opposition. Anyone opposed to Assembly Bill 534 who'd like to be heard? I'll start here in Carson City, then we'll go down to Las Vegas. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Whoever would like to begin. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. My name is Janine Hansen. I'm the state chairman of the Independent American Party. We are happy about a couple of changes that have taken place in there, one which removes electronic voting in jails, and the other which is leaving the filing date for candidates where it is in March. We were very concerned about those. However, we're very concerned about Section 69.4 and 69.6. Those have to do with the Secretary of State's grant program. And one of the things that it says in the grant program that we're concerned about is any other project, program, expenses that the Secretary of State determines to be eligible for the program. We think it's very wide open. And then in terms of what grants he can take, I think it's even more wide open. The Secretary of State may apply for and accept any donation, gift, grant, bequest, other source of money for deposit into the account. I spent some time this afternoon looking up organizations that promote so-called voting rights, and there was a lot of very partisan and information on there about different nonprofit organizations. And I'm concerned that this may become, as the Secretary of State's deputy called it in the Assembly Ways and Means, a pot of money. We're concerned about this pot of money. We think it needs to be more identified as to what it will be for. And we're very concerned about that particular part. And there's a lot of people involved in all kinds of voting things. We're here every day on one side of the issue, and there are a lot of other voting organizations on the other side. For instance, George Soros, through his Open Society Foundation, has funded millions and millions of dollars in voting access organizations. So we're concerned about that becoming involved in this. And I might just mention that the Assembly Ways and Means did not pass this bill out, and that's why it's an amendment to this bill, because they didn't think it was appropriate. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us, sir. Please state your name for the record and proceed.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair Orenshaw and committee. My name is Joshua Skaggs, and I am the Legislative Affairs Director for the Nevada Republican Party here in opposition to AB 534. We strongly appreciate the removal of Section 2, 15, and 21 from Assembly Bill 534. These sections introduce provisions related to electronic voting in jails, which raise concerns about administrative feasibility, security, and election integrity. We also appreciate the amendment to Section 3 of AB 534 that required responses in 2 business days instead of calendar days. However, this can still be challenging during busy election periods. Smaller offices with limited staff and resources may struggle to meet this deadline. Additionally, providing written explanations for delays add extra administrative work, further straining their capacity. We are very concerned about Section 69.6, granting the Secretary of State broad authority to solicit funds for deposit into what supporters called a, quote, pot of money, end quote, for voter access grants. While this allows for expanded funding outside of direct state allocations, it also raises concerns about transparency and potential external influence. Without stringent oversight, politically motivated organizations, particularly liberal election advocacy groups, could channel funds into voter access initiatives under the guise of, quote, election education, end quote, potentially shaping voter outreach and information campaigns to align with partisan interest. Safeguards such as public disclosure of donors, independent audits, and restrictions on ideological funding should be considered to uphold electoral integrity and prevent undue influence over Nevada's election system. Please vote no on AB 534, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much for your testimony. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Please state your name for the record and proceed. And I apologize to interrupt you. We are just checking to make sure we haven't lost our connection to Las Vegas. So if you don't mind holding tight for a minute, we're just going to be at ease, members.
My hearing is not good.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We just, okay, it looks like we have our connection to Las Vegas. So please state your name for the record and proceed. I just want to make sure we didn't lose our connection. So please state your name for the record and proceed. Thank you for joining us.
My name is Barbara Jones. I'll agree with that. Dealing with the mechanicals, the mail-in ballots, the Secretary of State requiring certain things from the county clerks, you know, they've just made it too complicated, and I'd really like to see some great wins out of the Education Committee and the Secretary of State, but I have to say no.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much. The microphone cut out. Would you mind stating and spelling your name for the record, just so we have it for the record again? Would you mind stating your name again? No.
Sorry.
Barbara Jones?
Yes.
Okay, we've got it for the record. Thank you, Ms. Jones.
Thank you.
Thank
I'm
you very
sorry.
much. Thank you for being here today. We appreciate your testimony. I'm not seeing anyone else in Carson City, and I don't see anyone in Las Vegas broadcasting. Is there anyone on the phone lines who wishes to speak in opposition to Assembly Bill 534?
If you would like to testify in opposition of AB 534, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Good afternoon. My name is Iris Stone, IRISSTONE. I ditto Janine Hansen's opposition to the voter access program 100%. In addition to that, I'd like to point out section 24 and 33 that would mandate changes to NRS 293.303 describing the term, quote, personal knowledge, unquote, when submitting a challenge to the voter. The proposed definition is so strict that it would essentially lead to 100% de facto rejection of any challenge that a registered voter submits to the Secretary of State's office. Nevada can protect voters from discrimination and keep voter rolls clean without requiring outdated standard, which this definition is. The argument that someone must have personal knowledge of a voter's ineligibility, such as knowing firsthand that a person moved or no longer lives at the address where they're registered, was made a lot of sense 30 years ago. Not so any longer in a modern society with more than 2 million residents in Clark County alone. The best evidence that someone has moved isn't whether their neighbor saw a moving truck with their furniture on it. I recommend that you replace this strict personal knowledge definition standard with a requirement for objective, verifiable evidence from independent sources. Accept corroborated documentary evidence. Permit the use of national change of address from the U.S. Postal Service or voter registration of records in other states or DMV changes and utility records when more than one source indicates that a voter has moved. This should also include timestamped photographic evidence, such as voters abandoned residence with mail piling up. By relying on modern technology, reliable data, and common sense, we can strike the right balance between election integrity and voter protection without cementing an obsolete standard into law. Please oppose AB 537 and especially these sections. Thank you.
Hi, Yolanda Knack, Yolanda, last name Knaak. And I just would like to ditto what Joshua Skaggs said, and please vote no on this bill. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. This is Oscar Williams, OSCAR, WILLIAMS. I'm opposed to AB 534 for a variety of reasons. Primarily, it's really an assault on the rights of the counties and cities to regulate their own elections and conduct their own business, particularly with regards to local and special elections. As enumerated in the Nevada Constitution, Article 4, Section 20, and a number of statutes. But AB 534 wants to usurp control of the voting in jails. It wants to regulate and conduct local elections. It wants to dictate election equipment and wants to pay for that equipment, which is something inconsistent with the current statutes. It weakens voters' rights regards to challenges. It is rather, it's sort of a misleading change, you're changing provisional ballots to conditional ballots. And that's confusing. I think that's misleading to a lot of people. Certainly it will cost a lot of money to reprint all the voter manuals and things regarding where we've had provisional for decades. And of course, the voter access grant program appears to be one of these pet little projects that are it's open to bias and partisanship. We have a Secretary of State who's proven to be fiscally irresponsible. He was almost $1 million over budget and had to come begging with his hat in his hand. And you want to give this guy a slush fund? Really? I'm against it. So please, do not vote in support of AB 534. I'm opposed to it. Please vote no. Thank you.
Good afternoon. This is Lynn Chapman, LYNNCHAPMAN, and I'm the State Vice President of Nevada Families for Freedom. Thank you very much for making some changes to the bill, but Section 69.4, we're very concerned about the Secretary of State's office receiving grants of money for another new program, this one called the Voter Access Grant Program. The Secretary of State would decide who receives this money. It would be given to eligible entities to improve voter access. Well, you know, private groups and nonprofits should raise their own money to achieve their goals, just like everyone else has to. The Secretary of State should not be involved with collecting money and distributing it who he deems worthy. Doesn't have a good look to it. Also, the section where the Secretary of State has to give the county's elected commissioners approval to terminate an election system contract if they feel the election systems are not working for their counties. This bill looks more and more about empire building a state office over the county's offices that the people actually have access to. We agree with all the rest of the opposition testimony, so please vote no on AB 534. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Cynthia Perrine, CYNTHIAPERINE. I echo the very well-reasoned comments of the previous speakers with regard to this bill, and I urge you to consider a no vote. Thank you.
Hi, Katrin Ivanov, IVANO Frank for the record. I'm in strong opposition of this bill. It looks again that you guys don't care how you're spending our money. It is very disappointing. If you really want to make it cheaper on the taxpayers, you would make sure that we have robust laws for election. I remember when we voted in election not that long ago, and it was one day, and we knew the result right away. There was less room for cheating, a lot less room for cheating, and it was a lot less costly. Also, we have to prove our right to vote because, let's face it, not only citizens, some of the citizens are also not allowed to vote depending on their criminal endeavors in history. So proving the right to vote should be essential. It's not just illegals that are voting, it's already proven in the court that illegals are voting. And there is no recourse, even if you have a proof that votes are submitted wrongfully, there is no recourse to take them out. We don't know how people voted. So please vote no on this bill. Please start thinking about how you're spending our money. It is very discouraging to see you guys just throwing money after money after money and then asking for tax raises. It is very disappointing. I hope that you vote no. Thank you and have a lovely day.
If you recently just joined us, we are currently in opposition of AB 534. To testify in opposition, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue. Chair, you have no more callers in opposition at this time.
Thank you very much, Broadcasting. I'd like to go to neutral. Anyone who's neutral on Assembly Bill 534 wishes to put anything on the record, either here in Carson City or down in Las Vegas. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Ashley Kennedy, representing Clark County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. And we just wanted to provide some context regarding the processing of mail ballots in Clark County and how we would implement 534 if this measure moves forward. During the 24 general election, Clark County experienced historic voter participation. Over 1 million voters cast a ballot, the highest turnout in our county's history. Of those voters, nearly 43% of them, which was about 443,000 people, chose to vote by mail. To prepare for this unprecedented level of participation, Clark County invested $1.9 million to expand our capacity. This included acquiring more equipment and hiring additional staff. It's important to understand that processing mail ballots takes significantly more time than in-person ballots. The full life cycle of a mail ballot, verification, signature matching, sorting, and prepping that ballot for tabulation, it takes approximately 11 hours for every 10,000 ballots. Currently, our maximum daily processing capacity is about 50,000 mail ballots in Clark County. On Election Day alone, we received over 54,000 mail ballots via drop boxes and another 19,000 from the post office. Despite these numbers, every single mail ballot received on Election Day was tabulated by the end of the following day. This was the fastest mail ballot processing we've ever achieved. Over the past several legislative sessions, we have fundamentally transformed how elections are conducted in Nevada. With the guidance and in collaboration with the Secretary of State's office, we have implemented top-down voter registration system, automatic voter registration, same-day voter registration, and universal mail voting. These are significant undertakings, and I'm proud to say that we've implemented each of these successfully, and we continue to meet the demands that these changes have introduced. We appreciate the Secretary of State granting a waiver from the 24-hour deadline as outlined in Section 20, though it's important to note that such a waiver is not guaranteed. State law requires us to canvass and certify election results no later than the 10th day following an election. We are legally obligated to meet this deadline, but we are also a rapidly growing county. With each election, we have more registered voters, higher turnout, and greater reliance on mail ballots. We are committed to meeting these expectations, but the reality is that some statutory limitations hinder our ability to do so effectively. For example, we cannot begin counting mail ballots until 15 days before Election Day, yet early voting begins 17 days before. This raises a critical question, and how can we be expected to process and tabulate mail ballots in 24 hours if we're not even allowed to begin counting them? To illustrate the impact of this constraint, on the first day of early voting in 2024, Clark County received more than 73,000 mail ballots from the post office and the ballot drop boxes. That's over 73 ballots that needed to be processed in 24 hours that we are legally not permitted to begin counting. We are doing everything in our power to succeed, but under current constraints, it's difficult to not feel we are being set up to fail for reasons that remain unclear. If the chair will indulge me for a minute more, I want to make one final point, and I would like to raise a concern regarding Section 67. This provision would grant the Secretary of State the authority to change the date of the presidential preference primary via regulation. Currently, the presidential preference primary is set for the first Tuesday in February. By statute, candidate filing begins in early October and by the end of that month, after the period for which somebody can withdraw their candidacy or challenge, we are required to publish in the newspaper a list of candidates, the date of the presidential preference primary, all the vote center locations, and the hours in which they will be open. State law mandates that for Clark County, we operate 100 vote centers on Election Day and 25 during early voting. To meet this timeline, our board must approve these locations by the first week of October. That means we begin securing these locations in the summer. I cannot secure vote centers without knowing a definite date of when the presidential preference primary will happen. Conducting an election is not easy and requires thoughtful, well-in-advance planning, and we urge you to consider that when contemplating a new date for the presidential preference primary. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your testimony. And have you been able to speak with the Secretary's office about these concerns? Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Good afternoon, Chair Orenshaw, members of the committee. For the record, my name is Cadence Matievich, C-A-D-E-N-C-E, Matijevich. I'm a government affairs liaison for Washoe County. Washoe County does not have a policy position on this bill. We are neutral. But similar to my colleague, Ms. Kennedy, I'd like to share some information with you about the potential operational impact to Washoe County. And I do want to begin by saying that we have had robust conversations with Secretary Aguilar and his team. And I was really grateful to hear the Chief Deputy today speak to the fact that they understand that this will have an operational impact and that they do intend to identify resources to assist us with that. And that also with the waiver process that's discussed for the 24-hour period in Section 20, that there will be regulations set forth that outline that waiver process and that we will have the opportunity to participate in how that is developed. Because as you heard from Ms. Kennedy, I won't go into all of the same details for Washoe County. While our volume is lower, it's proportionate, right, to the size of our workforce in Washoe County. And so we do envision that there could be a time when, based on voter turnout changes, let's say we have a big snowstorm on the last day of early voting, and so on actual election day, we get an influx of ballots that's higher than what we had anticipated. We may need to ask for that waiver. So we look forward to participating in that waiver process with them. For Washoe County, we have both a volume impact and an operational impact that I think is important to share with this committee. As Ms. Kennedy said, we really have changed the way we conduct elections in this state over the last 3 election cycles. And processing mail ballots takes more physical space than what used to happen when we would all go to the gym at our local elementary school and vote at our precinct. That work happened in the field, and now a good portion of it happens in our elections headquarters. And in Washoe County, we are space constrained. We have a physical building that we can only put so many people in. And so for us, likely, it will mean to meet the 24-hour deadline that we need to run a double shift, because we just couldn't, even if we had twice the number of bodies, we don't have someplace for them to be during the day. And so we will likely need to run double shifts, and that will come with additional costs. And so again, we appreciate the commitment from the Secretary's office to bring additional resources. And I do want to say this is a big bill. There are some good pieces in here, particularly the piece that you heard in Section 65 about sort of the ability for us to pause the signature verification on an initiative petition during the period where we are conducting an election, certainly with the addition of this 24-hour deadline. On top of that, being able to take that workload off of the election officials' plate while they're conducting the election will be even more important than before. I appreciate the opportunity to share the information with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Matijevich. Members, I don't see any questions. Unless you have any. Thank you very much for your testimony. I don't see anyone coming forward. There's no one in Las Vegas. So broadcasting, can we go to the phone lines for neutral testimony on Assembly Bill 534?
If you would like to testify neutral on AB 534, please press star 9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hello there. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, committee chair and members. I'd like to support the bill with some changes. I did try to call in, but the meeting started a little bit earlier than it was announced at 5:03 on the View. So I think testifiers in support should get another chance. I want to start my testimony now, but also say that I did submit my written testimony actually 3 times over the past several days, and the only exhibit I see is for a Dan Burdish. So there might be a missing testimony or 2, but certainly mine for Jeanette Dean. So if that could be looked into.
Good
and
afternoon.
May I now begin my
Yes, please go ahead and support Ms. Dean.
testimony?
And if for any reason we didn't get it, could you email that exhibit again, and we'll make sure it's posted and made part of the record. Would you please state and spell your name and then proceed with your
Okay.
testimony?
Yes, because we do like the committee members to see our exhibits. So thank you. And we did thank the Secretary of state might present the bill again. So the testimony started a little fast, but I'll begin now. So everyone, my name is Jeanette Dean, spelled Janette, Dean, Dean, and I am an alumna of the University of Nevada, Reno, where I studied political science, including in the Nevada Legislature, where I won the Outstanding Intern Award in 2013. First, I would like to remind everyone that our political systems and international, national, and state election systems continue to be under attack in a global war for control of our democracies. I therefore request 3 important short changes to Assembly Bill 534. In Section 29, election accuracy audits should be more clearly specified to allow paper ballot vote count comparisons to published counts for not just random selections of ballots, but also specific ballots where and when ongoing government and research professionals' statistical analyses, which may be third parties, reveal indications of possible vote manipulation. For example, analysis by diligent researchers at the Election Truth Alliance and their colleagues in the elections research and cybersecurity fields should also be reviewed and considered for more precise and targeted audit purposes. That's because algorithmic manipulation is now suspected and may be occurring across swing states and perhaps other states within 2024 presidential election results and maybe in the future. Therefore, targeted hand count audits of more sufficient amounts versus only random audits of lower amounts are also needed right now in some of the largest counties of U.S. states, including but not limited to early voting ballots in Clark County, Nevada, and election day voting ballots in Pennsylvania. My last part is short. Section 28, the time span of just 22 months to preserve vote ballots and related records should be increased to not just 22 months, but 72 months and at least 44 or 46 months between presidential elections. And I would say even up to 25 years for comparison across multiple presidential elections. I believe that the whole country deserves that, especially from swing states. Finally, public announcements and destruction of vote ballots and related records within the following 2 weeks of an announcement should be required across all 3 optional types of announcements now listed. Instead of being in newspapers now, it's allowed to be in a newspaper of general circulation in a county, or the internet site of the county clerk, or on social media channels. And I just think all 3 are only fair to voters and the public. So please look for my exhibit. I'll submit it again, and we thank you, honorable committee members. I love a lot of what else is in the bill. So thank you for your very hard work this session.
Chair, you have no more callers neutral at this time.
Thank you very much, Broadcasting. With that, any closing comments from our presenters? We appreciate you presenting the bill today on such short notice.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chair Orenshaw and members of the committee. A few items that came up that I would like to address. First, there is no algorithmic switching of votes in Nevada or anywhere else in the country. It does not happen. Our elections are safe and secure. There has never been widespread voter fraud in the state of Nevada or across the country. Thank you. Voter access grants. That program is to support county, tribal, and local governments specifically, and the language on reporting and distribution of those funds came through conversations with Assemblymember Lisa Cole, and we're very grateful to her for working with us. She asked for some changes, and we gratefully made them. The Secretary of State's office, just for the record, has reverted at least $14 million to the general fund over the last biennium. We are very grateful to the counties for working with us on this bill, and I would like to add that there is a constitutional right to vote, not a constitutional right to attempt to cancel someone else's voter registration. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for the presentation. We appreciate that on such short notice. With that, the next item on our, we'll close the hearing on Assembly Bill 534. I'd like to go to public comment. If there's anyone who wishes to make public comment, either here in Carson City or down in Southern Nevada. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone come. Oh, Ms. Hanson, please go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Janine Hansen for the record. I just want to thank you. You're always a very fair chairman. We appreciate being in your committee and the opportunity to participate in this the important discussions about our elections. And so thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your kind words.
Gabriel DeCara for the record. I would like to take this opportunity to ditto Ms. Janine Hansen and also thank her for her tireless work on behalf of the folks that she represents. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief Deputy Secretary of State. Thank you. Not seeing any other public comment in either the hearing rooms, broadcasting. Can we go to the phone lines for public comment?
Thank you, Chair. If you would like to provide public comment, please press *9 now to take your place in the queue.
Hi, Katrine Ivanov, IVANOFF, like Frank. I also wanted to echo Ms. Janine Hansen's comments. We want to thank you for your tireless work. It's not easy. You can't always please everyone. Always someone's going to be mad at you. Just wanted to ask you to make some kind of a law that some of the views that people want to be heard, maybe do a more robust online asking or something. We need to feel like you guys are listening, and sometimes we feel like that and sometimes we don't. But we would like some of the views that people want to be heard to be able to be heard, some kind of new way of doing those things. And also, I hear a lot of excuses when they're presenting bills about things like deadlines. Those are things that you guys voted on, which shows me those were the unintended consequences on the problem. Let's go back to the way it was. One day of voting, we're going to spend a lot less money, we're going to spend a lot less time, a lot less manpower, and we're going to know the results sooner. We're not going to be the embarrassment we were in 2024 when the president and the House and the Senate were elected without Nevada ever showing results. Our results came so much later, and they were literally only important for the local elections because they didn't make any dent in the federal elections. They already knew everything in federal elections before we even were able to count our votes, which was absolute embarrassment. So education and elections are two of the places that Nevada is not showing up very well. So at the end, thank you for your work and thank you for letting us at least speak our minds. Have a lovely day.
Good afternoon. This is Oscar Williams again. I take issue with Mr. Chiara's statement that there's no algorithms anywhere in elections in the country. I don't believe that that's an accurate and true statement. Certainly, there's different types of algorithms used for different reasons. For example, our election system certification involves a hash algorithm that is verified with the National Software Library archive thingy. And so there's an algorithm right there. Mr. Chiara's statement is not accurate, and I take issue when he comes out and he gaslights us with that stuff. Thank you for your time.
Chair, you have no more callers wishing to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. And I know to the one caller, I believe what I heard from the Chief Deputy Secretary of State is that there's been no evidence across the country of any manipulation of any algorithms to accomplish any switching of votes. That's what I heard. So I just wanted to correct that for the record. Well, I think this may be our last hearing, so I want to thank our members for their diligent attention to the bills, the great questions, and our amazing staff. I've been so fortunate to work with, I think, some of the most hardworking, conscientious, intelligent people, definitely in the Capitol. And I don't know where we'd be without. We've got Ann Stanley, our committee manager, Pepper Sturm, our policy analyst. Suzanne Efford, Connie Summers, Kelsey Delozier, our legal counsel, and I know our tremendous broadcasting folks, and I apologize if I don't have everybody's name, but thank you for making sure we're connected to Las Vegas and to the phone lines so that everybody can participate, and been very blessed to work with such wonderful people. And, I'll be sad that we're near sine die, but good to get home for everybody, and great getting to work on these important issues. Thank you to all the staff from the clerks, the Secretary of State's office, all the parties, and everybody's input has been so valuable, and all the organizations. Thank you for being here, and I think we all want to protect democracy. I know we have differing opinions about the way to do it, but I think we all agree on trying to make sure everybody's participating and has that right to participate. So with that, I think we'll be adjourned for now, and we may have a meeting behind the bar a little bit later today, but we're adjourned for now. Thank you, members all.